Welcome to my Sitecore Diaries. This is Sitecore 10.NET Developer Certification Exam Preparation Series. We are continuing with the Sitecore Headless JSS. This is the third part of a Sitecore Headless JSS, and overall this is the 8th video of the Sitecore.NET Developer Certification Exam. I am Jitendra Khanikar. I am from Mumbai. I am a Sitecore architect. So in this video we are going to see few pending topics of rendering engines, and then around 25 plus practice questions. Okay, before starting, if you are not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to the channel and please click on a bell icon to get a latest update. If you like the video, please click on a like button, please share it with your friends, and please comment and provide the feedback on our videos. So first of all, we will see tag helpers. So tag helpers are enable server-side code to participate in creating and rendering the HTML elements in a Razor file. So in your Sitecore Rendering SDK, you have to use these tag helpers, which will help you to render your server-side code into the HTML. Okay, so let's see few of them. Like placeholder, you can have sc hyphen placeholder, and you can give the name here main sc placeholder. Similarly, you have for text fielding, text field, the model will be my component model. Like okay, then if you are using that, then it is for the h2 field asp hyphen for @model.heading. Heading is the field of your model. Similarly, you have a rich text here. You have a hyperlink, sc hyperlink, asp for date. So you can see these are the similar what we do in Razor. Okay, then image, you have this image tag sc hyphen image. Okay, if you make it editable, it will be editable. Okay, then you have a number. So these are the some of the tag helpers. The Sitecore Rendering SDK provide these tag helpers, okay, so that you can render content, placeholder, and the metadata. Okay, tag helpers are available in Sitecore ASP NET Rendering Engine library. This I will be providing you the link where you can have more details about the tag helpers. Okay, now we will go we will go through some of the terminology used in rendering engine, or some of the concepts used in the rendering engine. We are not going in detail of those. I'm just providing you the pointers, okay, here, which you can check with the link which I will provide you, okay, for the details in the description. So we'll just see what some of the terminologies. I think we should be knowing those in case there is anything in the certification exam. Okay, first thing is the NuGet package. So the NuGet package which is required for the site rendering engine is the Sitecore ASP NET Rendering Engine. Then there is something called add Sitecore rendering engine. Okay, this method is required for Sitecore rendering engine services to the dependency injection container. So we need to add this into the method configure service, okay, of your startup class. The namespace used is the Sitecore.NET ASP.NET Rendering Engine extension, and we need to add this in the Sitecore in the a startup class of your in the configure service method of your startup class. Okay, the return type for this method is Sitecore rendering engine builder, and your return type and your parameters are action rendering engine options. Okay, so something like this we write in the startup class in the configuration service, okay, for dependency injection container. Then the in rendering engine options, which are the input parameters. Okay, the first part is the eye collection. In the option itself, you have a eye collection, which will be action, HTTP request, and Sitecore layout request. So basically it maps your HTTP request with the Sitecore layout request. Okay, in last video we have seen what is Sitecore layout request. So for mapping purpose, it is used like it is done like this. Okay, So the default mapping set is like the language on the Sitecore layout request is mapped with the request culture cul.culture.name in the HTTP request. Okay. Similarly, the path of the Sitecore layout request from the Sitecore route value if present, the path of the HTTP request or path value if the Sitecore route value is present, and map to request used for additional mapping. So if you want any additional mapping, we can use the map to request. Okay, and then there is a sorted list. Okay, this sorted list of a component renders. So by default this list is empty, but you can have the sorted component rendered list. Okay, component render descriptor or default render. This is the default component render descriptor object for handling Sitecore component rendering. By default this is null. Okay, again I'm saying I'm not going in detail, I'm just giving you the wordings. Okay, you can check this, what are these things in detail. You use the add default component render extension method to set the default render in the rendering engine option, and the default render is a logging component render that writes the Sitecore component content to the specific log instead of generating the HTML output. Okay, so this rendering engine option, I will be giving you the link. If you go to the Sitecore site, it will have you in the details, layout details. You will layout service details or a headless service, then you will get all these details. So just don't just stick to what I'm right now I'm telling. As I said, I'm just giving you the pointers. Okay, so if you want more details, you just go through this. Okay, we are not covering here, as I said initially, that this is, we are not going in detail of each topic. We are just trying to see the things which we can achieve, which we will help us to pass the Sitecore certification exam. Okay, then there are few methods which are used. Okay, like add view component, it's map a Sitecore layout component name to a view component rendering. Okay, then if you have a add model bound view, maps a Sitecore layout component name to the default view component rendering. Then you have a add partial view, maps a Sitecore layout component name to the partial view rendering. Add default partial view, maps any unmatched Sitecore layout component to the default partial view. So if you see, there is some example I have brought here. Okay, so here you see add Sitecore rendering engine options, where we are map to request. By mapping the two things, here your Sitecore layout request language is mapped to the HTTP request dot query lang. Okay, and here you are seeing is a another thing where we have a how to use add partial view. So header block, now underscore header block. Okay, similarly you have a model bound view, add view component. Okay, so these are the sample example which I am giving. You can go, you can check this. Then there is another method called map Sitecore localize route extension to configure a route which supports Sitecore style language embedding and content bar. So we have a Sitecore has its own embedding language embedding, right? So for that you have map Sitecore localize route, and map fallback to controller to support a path without language. So there might be a case where you will not have a path in the language in the path. So for that, map fallback to the controller. Okay, this is how it is added. The endpoints, these are the two endpoints, where one is the map Sitecore localized route. This is for your Sitecore with the language embedding, and another one is where without a language. Use Sitecore rendering, it's an attribute which should be added. This is action filter. Sorry, it is an attribute which should be added either a controller or action method to enable the Sitecore rendering. For the enabling the Sitecore rendering, you have to add this action use Sitecore rendering either on controller. If you add it on controller, or the actions of the controller will become Sitecore rendering. Whereas if you add it with the method, that specific method will become Sitecore rendering middleware. Okay, so this this attribute should be added either a controller or action method to enable the Sitecore rendering middleware and corresponding request to the layout service. This is an example of it. Okay, so and as again I said, it's I'm just giving you these pointers. You should go in detail of this. Okay, I think for the certification exam, I think just knowing this will help, but if you want to understand we have to go in detail. Okay, so this is the link which will provide you the different types of view. There are different types of view types also, so that will be given in this link. Okay, so this is one of the link which I will sharing in the description. If you want to go, if you want to check all the classes and references of Sitecore ASP NET Rendering SDK, then you can go through this. Okay, there a lot of things are there, and then the view type. Okay, if you want to check what are the different view types and what is model binding, model bound tools, view component for ASP.NET Rendering SDK, then you can go through this link. Now let's see a practice questions. The first one: what is the role of a content delivery CD in a headless setup? Okay, so first of all, it provides the layout and content through the API. So content delivery is helps to provide the layout and content through the API. Which of the following option outlines the benefit of working with a headless rendering host for Sitecore development? You can run a rendering host application directly in the Visual Studio. So which of the following statement best describe the primary function of the layout service? So what is the primary function of the layout service? It provides a structured data about a page in a Sitecore, including its components and the fields. So it provides the structured data in JSON format about a page in a Sitecore, including its component and fields. Why would you use a JSON rendering item instead of a view rendering item? View rendering items are for a MVC component, whereas JSON rendering items are for components created headlessly. So for the headless, we use a JSON rendering. Why would you use a custom rendering content resolver with a JSON rendering? You need access to more complex data for within Sitecore for the component you are creating. So why would you use a custom rendering content resolver? Why? So if you have a more complex data, you have a complex data structure, then you might need to use a custom rendering content resolver. How does the Sitecore layout service, Sitecore.layout service NuGet package support the development of a more advanced component? The package provides access to the assemblies and types necessary for extending the layout service output. So basically, the NuGet package provides you all the libraries which are required for the development of the layout service. I mean, you can extend the layout service also. Why would you want to use a content resolver to display values from the Sitecore search indexes? Because content resolver allows you to write a custom C# code to affect the layout service output. So if there is anything which you need to customize, then content resolver where you can write a C# code. So that's the reason we can use the content resolver. The Sitecore rendering host operates outside of a content delivery instance and is the front-end application that requests data from the layout service and render the site. So the Sitecore rendering host it is outside the content delivery instance. It is not on the content delivery instance. It is basically your front-end application. Why should the component render be registered in startup.cs in ASP.NET Core Rendering Host Lookup? To provide the Sitecore placeholder within a component to be rendered when combined with the output from the layout service. Why should the component rendered be registered in a startup.cs ASP.NET Core Rendering Host Lookup? Okay, because it will provide the Sitecore placeholder with a component to be rendered when combined with the output from the layout service. When will you most likely use the ASP.NET Core Rendering SDK over the other Sitecore rendering tools available? When you will use the ASP.NET Core Rendering SDK? If the customer requires a heavily customized front end and some complicated business logic, then we will go for a ASP.NET Core Rendering SDK. What type of a rendering will you be making when working with a Sitecore ASP.NET Core Rendering SDK? What type of a rendering? You will be using JSON rendering. Features of the ASP.NET Core Rendering SDK: integration with the Sitecore XP to support the Experience Editor. So it supports the Experience Editor and it is integrated with Sitecore XP. It supports the analytics and supports the personalization also. What is the method name used to register a model bound view? If you want to use a model bound view, what method you will use? .add model bound view. Where do you register the view for a component? In this startup class under the configure service method. Why do we register the view? To provide a Sitecore placeholder with a component to be rendered when combined with the output from the layout service. So it is the same question, the first question only here. Okay. Then which of the following do you use to register a non-default partial view in this startup class? If you want to register a non-default partial view, which method you will use? Add partial view. When working headlessly with the ASP.NET Core Rendering SDK, you are building a small, lightweight .NET Core application that does not require a full restart of the Sitecore environment to preview the code changes. Okay, so I'm just running the question and answer. Okay, you can go through it each question, okay, about the Sitecore certification exam. Okay, these are the questions which has already come in the previous examination, or I have got this from the few of the online websites. Let's see next question. As a developer task with the building and running the cross-platform web form, server and console application, you must have which of the following installed on your workstation to accomplish the task. So you will need first of all PowerShell 5.1, Docker and .NET Core 3.1 SDK. What are the benefits of the Sitecore headless development? Okay, it's a basic question. Sitecore headless development introduces efficiencies in developing, maintaining, scaling and upgrading the Sitecore solution. So Sitecore headless development introduces efficiencies in developing, maintaining and scaling and upgrading the Sitecore solution. Can I use ASP.NET Rendering SDK without using Sitecore containers? So without Sitecore containers, can I use Rendering SDK? These are some questions are mixture of containers also. We will be doing the containers also later. Sitecore containers eases the setup of your development environment, but it is not requirement for Sitecore headless development. You can build Sitecore solution with ASP.NET Rendering SDK in any type of a supported infrastructure or hosting model. What features are not supported in Sitecore headless development? So what are the features which are not supported? It doesn't support horizon, it doesn't support edit frames, it doesn't support Sitecore forms, invocation of XConnect events, goals, outcomes from C#. So these are the things which are not supported in the headless development. JSS and ASP.NET Rendering SDK multi-site instances uses the same type of a site definition for content management. Whether the site is running JSS or ASP.NET Rendering SDK, it is not relevant. Okay, so it uses the same site definition for multi-site instances. ASP.NET Rendering SDK does not support Sitecore Experience Accelerator rendering it, so it doesn't support SXA. Managed Cloud Standard and Managed Cloud Premium do not currently offer headless topologies for a rendering host. So we are done with the headless and JSS thing and core.NET. I'm sharing you few of the links, especially YouTube links, which will help you to understand more in detail. Okay, the first link is from the SUG Columbus. I think this was one of the best video I have seen for the Sitecore headless development. You can go through this link. I will be sharing the link in the description. Then there is a one from SUG Pune, and then from the Sitecore itself, how to develop with the ASP.NET Core Rendering SDK. If you want to learn .NET Core, then WebGentle. You can visit the WebGentle YouTube channel. I think they have a lot of material for .NET Core. Then this is the main link of the Sitecore documentation on Sitecore Headless development HTML. Okay, so you will find everything. I think most of the things which I cover is from this only, but there are, as I said, there are many things which I have not covered, so you can go through this. Then I am sharing a few of my old blog links which will help you to understand the JSS framework. Any question, you can connect me on my Gmail ID and my LinkedIn ID. So in the next topic we are going to see what is Sitecore CLI. Basically what is Sitecore serialization, and what is Sitecore CLI command line interface, and what is CLI for serialization for with Visual Studio. Okay, so we will be seeing few concepts from those topic, and then we will go to the few practice question on the Sitecore serialization. So if you like my video, please click on a like button, please share this video with your friends, and please provide your feedback on comment. As I said in last video also, there are around 70 to 80% of viewers who is watching this series, and which the complete videos of the my Sitecore diaries, but those are not subscribed. So please subscribe to the channel. It will help me to motivate. Okay, it will motivate me to do more videos. Please click on a bell icon to get a latest update from the my Sitecore diaries. Thank you. Thanks for watching.